right, Robert. Well, how is this happening right now with this basketball team? What's the difference? I feel like something's been different ever since Bedlam, but I can't put my finger on it.
You know what? I think it's the other players outside Phil Forte and LeBron Nash. Newberry, for instance, who's been a starter, but, I mean, some nights he had 2-4 points. Some nights he had no points. Now he's consistently getting up around double figures during this streak. He's playing tremendous defense. I thought Travis Ford showed a lot of confidence in Jeff Saturday in the Kansas game when he hit Phil Forte in the second phase of the press and put Newberry with Hickey out there up front. And those guys were terrific at really messing with Kansas and creating the turnover situation. So I think Newberry is coming around. I think Cobbins, while he's not scoring a lot, I think he's become comfortable with his role. I just think this team, and I think Hickey is playing at a level right now
I love Hickey.
that he hasn't played at. So
yeah, I kind of think I did an interview yesterday in a different city about the basketball going on around here, and when they asked about Oklahoma State, I kind of feel like Hickey's the kind of straw that stirs the drink here. I mean, at least whenever he's scoring, it feels like it is.
Yeah, his threes last night combined with Phil's were huge. Those were like against the zone defense, and Baylor plays that 1-3-1.
Right.
Every time you hit a three, it's a dagger to a zone because it's just another play that causes a coach to think of pulling out of it. Baylor's very comfortable in it. Their players, especially their rebounders, like staying in the zone. And if they have to go to man, that kind of messes with other parts of their game. So I thought all those threes last night by both Hickey and Forte were big.
Robert Allen with us. But, we're kind of – I feel like we're not acknowledging the elephant, and that is LeBron Nash has played out of his mind the last couple of games. And I mean, what's the difference there? I mean, something's different with LeBron Nash, no?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that he's at a point now where the countdown's on. The countdown to the end of his college career is now squarely right there in front of him. And I'm thinking, maybe he's starting to get maybe a little more serious. Not only about that, but also about the fact that he wants to continue to play basketball. And at times, the way he's played, at other points of the season, it's not a three-letter combination. It's not NBA, it's NBDL is what it looks like. So, but the way he's playing right now, and when Bill Self comes out and says, hey, he was the best player on the floor, that's something that the league and scouts in the league take notice. He wants to play in the NBA. Is he good enough? He is when he's playing like this. But when he's got that nonchalant attitude about him, he's not. So that's all I can think of that's really different.
Yeah, I feel like there are some Oklahoma State fans, Robert Allen with us, that are going to kind of cringe when they hear you and others talk about that about that with LeBron. Not that you're wrong, just that it's like, oh, okay, so that's finally what motivated him in the second half of his senior season. Like that, finally. Like, where's that been?
Well, I mean, you know what? It doesn't, and I can see where it would bother some people, but LeBron has really had. I think he's a sensitive guy. I know that's not necessarily a huge compliment, but I think he is a sensitive guy.
Yeah.
And he came in with the, with all of the pomp and circumstance of being a superstar, and almost from the very beginning, there were other guys that were brought in that had that same mantra, and he kind of got put in the background. It's like in football. I always hear football coaches say, yeah, we try and recruit better than what we got. Well, I don't know that that's always the case in basketball. I think sometimes when you've got a big-time player, coaches will tend to recruit around that player, whether it's professionally in free agency or whether it's recruiting at the college level. But Travis Ford has always recruited as good a players as he could find, and some of them trumped LeBron. And I think he got put on the back burner, and whether it was he or whether it was the coaches or just the circumstances. And I think it's been a rough career for him. But I do like the fact that it looks like it's going to end on a very positive note.
Sure.
And if it keeps going the way it's going, it will.
If not for Bedlam, do we see this little 3-game win streak?
I don't know. I think I tend to believe Bedlam this year is a bad matchup for Oklahoma State. I think the team that Oklahoma's got is just got the things that cause Oklahoma State the most problems. And I'm judging that after, toward the end of, last year, the last Bedlam meeting, and then the 2 this year. Because, Oklahoma State played a tremendous first half. Well, not tremendous. They played a very good first half in the game in Stillwater. And then Oklahoma, found the answer in the second half. I just think that this group of players for Oklahoma is that proverbial bad matchup, the guys at Oklahoma State.
All right, Robert Allen with us. All right, football. Give me recruiting nuggets. Come on. I want nuggets. Nuggets. Come on.
Well, you and I haven't talked since the end of the class, but before that, the next class has started to be built. Justice Hill is one of, I think there's 6 Division I running backs candidates in the state next year that are high school seniors.
Really?
Quan Hogan at Norman North, Jaron Williams at Edmond Santa Fe, and then there's 4 up in Tulsa. Tyler Atkins at Union, the small kid at Broken Arrow. There's another Williams at Sepulpa, and then Justice Hill at Tulsa, Washington. And Justice Hill, who, fortunately for Mike Gundy, had come out, previously in the media and said he was an Oklahoma State fan growing up. Yesterday, he made the commitment. This is a kid that's typical Oklahoma State running back, 5'10", 185 pounds right now. Probably will play in college at 5'10", and maybe right around 200 or a shade below. Good speed, rushed for 1,500 yards as a junior last year. Just a really good type versatile running back. He's got speed, but he's got moves, and he can run between the tackles. He's got sharp elbows and sharp knees. He's not a purely a space back. So I think they're very happy with getting him to start the class. Kind of funny that one of the biggest needs that they were so nervous about closing out the 2015 class with was running back, and now the first guy in 2016 is a running back. But you and I haven't talked since the signing day, and I think the real, while this is not a top 25 ranked class, I think the real value in this class for Mike Gundy is the offensive linemen, the JUCOs, the transfer from UAB, guys that plug in immediately. I think the running back from Butler, Chris Carson, who will play immediately. And then a defensive tackle that's another Polynesian player that Oklahoma State seems to really like going after the Tongan, Samoan, Polynesian culture guys. Mike Gundy really likes the things they represent. And he replaced one on the defensive line, Ofa Hata, who graduated with a kid named Modi Mali. And he's, Zach, he's amazing. He's 307 pounds. But when you look at him, you'd swear he was 250, 260.
Really?
He's a flat belly, athletic, but he's just so solidly built that when you put him on a scale, he's 307 pounds, but he looks like he could be a jumbo fullback for you. So I'm really kind of anxious to see what this kid is capable of doing. And actually, I saw one of his games at Tyler Junior College last year because my son is at NEO, and I watched their game in Tyler. Oklahoma State had an off week, and Tyler played him at defensive end. He was a 300-pound defensive end because he moved so well. So I think that's a guy that Oklahoma State fans, they don't know about him yet. He's a JUCO player, but when they see him out there, I think he's a guy that'll make some plays. Hey, before it's over, he might play in the backfield like James Castle. So It's a good recruiting class, and it's going to help immediately. But 3 years from now, or actually 2 years from now, most of those guys will be gone because there's 7 JUCOs in the class.
Robert Allen with us. What do you know about this deposition that OSU is going to give Strong? I feel if you're going this far, you've got to know that Wicklin wasn't calling the plays, right?
I think they've got some witnesses, and they're not necessarily named Charlie Strong or other coaches on the Texas staff. I know that Mike Holder had talked to, every one of Texas games are on TV, and every one of those TV broadcasts has sideline reporters, and every one of those sideline reporters is over there kind of watching what's going on the Texas sideline. So this might be a case where some media people are called to testify or give depositions.
Jeez. I mean, what are we doing, Robert? What are we doing?
Well, you know what? This is a tug of war between two guys that are very stubborn.
It'd be great watching Sam Ponder go up on the stand about Joe Wicklin. That'd be so great. And what about you? Are you talking about you? You're talking about you, sideline reporter you?
When OSU and Texas played, I was on the OSU side. My eyes are good, but I don't know that you want to call me to testify on what exactly
yeah, right. Whatever. You're pleading ignorance. You saw something. Don't lie. You're pleading ignorance because you don't want any part of this.
Well, you know what? I saw something watching Texas games on TV because I know Joe Wicklin. I know the way he operates, and I know the way he coached his offensive line at Oklahoma State. And so I was watching during Texas games to see if he was doing the same things, and he was. Joe is habitual about the way he does things. He's always going to have that horseshoe of folding chairs that his offensive linemen they don't sit on the bench. They sit in a horseshoe of folding chairs with him in the middle so he can look at all their eyes. And then when the team's on offense, you watch. He will always be 15 yards ahead of the offense, looking back, because that's where he believes he can best see what his guys are doing. So